Our next witness is Dr. John Eastman, Chairman of the National Organization for Marriage and a professor at Chapman University School of Law. And Dr. Eastman, you're recognized for 5 minutes.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much, and to all members of the committee, thank you for taking these issues so seriously. I'm the chairman of the Center for Constitutional Jurisprudence, a public interest law firm affiliated with the Claremont Institute, and I'm also on the board of directors of the Act Right Legal Foundation, which serves as co-counsel for True the Vote, filed a lawsuit just last week on their slow walking by the IRS and their 501c4 status. But I'm here today in my capacity of chairman of the board of the National Organization for Marriage because the egregious conduct taken against that organization, which had its 501c4 status conferred back in 2008, kind of takes us to a different level. In March of 2012, the confidential portions of our 990 tax returns, including Schedule B, which is our list of major donors and their home addresses, appeared on the website of the Human Rights Campaign, our principal political opponent in the nationwide fight over traditional marriage. The copy of our tax returns and our list of donors that was posted there was redacted. Our computer forensic people were able to unlayer the redactions from that PDF file and discovered that the original document that was posted there had originated from within the IRS. It had internal IRS stamps that are placed on every document the IRS receives that are electronically filed with the IRS and placed on those documents by that computer system. We don't have a copy of the document with those IRS stamps on them. Those only exist within the IRS. And yet this was posted on the website of the Human Rights Campaign. You can imagine our shock and disgust over this. We jealously guard our donors, as almost every other nonprofit does, particularly on the issues that we deal with, which are so contentious that our donors, once they are identified, are harassed and intimidated and trying to be chilled away from supporting the cause that we advance. This is unacceptable conduct in our democracy. We immediately requested an investigation from the Treasury's Inspector General for Tax Administration Office, as well as the Department of Justice. The second request to the Department of Justice was filed because these are felonies that were committed against the National Organization for Marriage. It is a felony, punishable by a $5,000 fine and up to 5 years in federal prison for the illegal disclosure, the unauthorized disclosure of one's confidential tax returns. We are a nonprofit, but that part of our tax return is as confidential as your individual 1040 forms. The TIGTA initially investigated us to try and determine whether somebody from within our own ranks had disclosed our confidential tax returns. And when we pointed out we didn't have a copy of the version of our tax returns that had that IRS stamp on it, that was the last we heard of the investigation. That was last summer of 2012. We then began filing a series of Freedom of Information Act requests with TIGTA and with the IRS to try and ascertain some of the information that had been discovered during any investigation that had been had there. We were stonewalled in those Freedom of Information Act requests. The IRS told us that any documents they had would have been under the Inspector General's jurisdiction, so they couldn't disclose them to us. When we pointed out we didn't ask for what was over at TIGTA, we asked for what was in the files of the IRS, their second response to us was, well, we've already answered your request. We don't answer things twice. Most stunningly, on May 3rd of this year, in follow-up to a Privacy Act request, where we asked for the specific information that federal law allows us to request when there's been an investigation into the disclosure of our tax returns, the Inspector General's office told us that the identity of the source of this felony against us was itself protected tax return information that they could not disclose to us. I ask you to think about the irony of that. There are a couple of things, it seems to me, that this committee could look at to help cure this problem. First, clarify that it's not the case that the prohibition against disclosure of our tax returns shields the culprit who committed that felony. Second, we have no ability to bring a criminal prosecution for these felonies on our own, and yet the Department of Justice has not done so. There is a civil penalty provision that is available, but we can only bring a suit against the United States for $1,000 per the one disclosure, not the hundreds of thousands of the disclosures that was done by the Human Rights Campaign when they posted this on their website. I would like to see a clarification of that provision that would hold the people, the individual IRS official, as well as their colluders that are non-government employees, civilly liable to the taxpayers whose tax returns they illegally disclosed. And finally, I think because the investigation has yielded nothing of information to us, I would ask this committee to consider subpoenaing the folks at the Human Rights Campaign, find out who posted it on the website, find out who introduced the redactions and hid the IRS information, find out who received it from the IRS, and most importantly, find out who from the IRS disclosed this information. The head of the Human Rights Campaign had recently been named the national co-chair of the Obama re-election campaign. This just smells, and I hope this committee gets to the bottom of it. Thank you for allowing me to testify.